Hey guys, a very good day to you all. Today we are going to start with a new chapter that is nothing but thermodynamics. And in this video, we are going to understand the terms used in thermodynamics like system and surroundings. Then we will understand the different types of system. After that, we will see different types of properties of system like the extensive property, intensive property, and at the end we will understand what is a state function and what is a path function. Okay, so first of all, let us understand what is system and surrounding. So for that, let us consider a container, and in this container let us consider a gas, and on the top of this gas we are having a piston. Now I want to study the change in volume of this gas and the change in energy of gas when pressure is varied. So when I change the pressure, I want to study the change in volume of the gas and the change in energy of the gas. So guys, can I say that when we are changing the pressure, we are going to observe this gas and study its change in volume and change in energy. So can I say that this gas is under observation and we are going to study about this gas? Now since this gas is under our observation, therefore this gas becomes our system, and rest everything except this gas will become our surrounding. Okay, so I hope that you are clear with the basic term that is nothing but system and surrounding. Since this gas is under our observation, therefore this gas becomes our system and rest everything is going to become our surrounding. Okay, now in thermodynamics you will come across a word called as universe. Now what is the meaning of this word universe? See, universe consists of everything, surrounding as well as system. So system plus surrounding gives us universe. Just keep this thing in mind. What is the meaning of an universe? Now after understanding system and surroundings, now let us understand a sentence which will help us in understanding this video ahead. Okay, so energy can be exchanged in the form of heat or work, which means that system can exchange energy with the surrounding either in the form of heat or in the form of work, which means that if the system wants to exchange energy with the surrounding, then it can do it in two ways, heat or work. And as we all know that heat and work both are nothing but forms of energy, and therefore their unit is joules. Okay, now let us understand the different types of system. The first type that we are going to cover is nothing but open system. Now to understand what is an open system, let us consider an example. Now I am going to consider an example of a coffee kept in a cup. Now let us assume this coffee to be our system. We are going to observe this coffee. So since the coffee becomes our system, therefore the cup and rest everything around it will become the surrounding. Now as you can see over here, there are vapors coming out of this coffee. Now since there are vapors coming out of this coffee, so can I say there are vapors coming out of the system? So can I say that since there are vapors coming out of the system, therefore this system is exchanging mass with the surrounding. Why mass with the surrounding? Because vapors do carry mass. So when it is exchanging vapors, it is in short exchanging some mass with the surrounding. So system is exchanging mass with the surrounding. And guys, you will observe one more thing, that when we keep this coffee open in a surrounding, then this coffee is going to get cooled down. So since it is getting cooled down, therefore can I say that it is also exchanging heat with the surrounding? Can I say this coffee is exchanging heat with the surrounding? And we know that heat is nothing but the form of energy. So in short, can I say that a system is going to exchange energy with the surrounding. So guys, in an open system, if we consider this to be yellow color to be our system and this green color to be our surrounding, then in an open system, the system can exchange mass with the surrounding and it can also exchange energy with the surrounding. So I hope you are clear with the first type of system, that is nothing but open system. Now let us understand the second type of system, that is nothing but the closed system. Now for a closed system, again I am going to consider an example of cup of coffee. Now on this, what we are going to do is that we are going to place a saucer. So I have placed a saucer over this cup. Now since we have placed a saucer over this cup, therefore the mass won't leave out of this coffee, which means that since we have kept a saucer over this cup, therefore there won't be vapors coming out of this glass. Therefore, since there are no vapors, therefore there will be no mass leaving the system. But still you will observe that the coffee gets cooled down. And the reason behind this is because still the system, that is nothing but the coffee, can exchange heat with the surrounding. So in an closed system, the system can exchange energy with the surrounding. Okay, it cannot exchange mass, but it can exchange energy with the surrounding. Now let us move on to the third type, that is nothing but the isolated system. Now the example of an isolated system will again be a cup of coffee, and we are going to place a saucer over it, and we are going to keep it inside an insulator. So this blue color is nothing but an insulator. Now since we have kept it inside an insulator, therefore this coffee will not be able to exchange heat with the surrounding. And since it is not able to exchange and since we have kept this saucer over it, therefore it will also not be able to exchange mass with the surrounding. So in an isolated system, the system cannot exchange mass with the surrounding, and it can also not exchange energy with the surrounding. So it can neither exchange mass nor energy with the surrounding. Okay, so I hope that you are clear with the three types of system. Now let us understand the types of properties of system, which means that see, system has particular properties, and we are going to classify these properties into two different types. The first one is the extensive property and the second one is the intensive property. Now which properties will be extensive? The properties which depend on the amount of matter of the system will be called as extensive properties. Now what is the meaning of this? See, if you change the amount of matter of the system and if the property gets affected, then that property will come under extensive property. For example, mass. If you change the amount of matter of a system, then obviously the mass of the system is going to change. If you increase the amount of matter, then the mass will increase. If you decrease the amount of matter, then obviously the mass will also decrease. Therefore mass is a property and it comes under extensive properties. Clear with this? Now what are intensive properties? Just the contradict of it. The properties which does not depend on the amount of matter of the system are called as intensive properties. The best example for this is temperature. So guys, let's say that you have 1 liter of water and the temperature of that water is, let's say, 90 degrees Celsius. Now what we do is that out of that 1 liter, let us take 100 ml in a separate beaker. So now can I say that you are having 100 ml in one beaker and you are having 900 ml of water in another beaker. Now my question to you all, will the temperature of 100 ml water and 900 ml water be different? Obviously not. The temperature is going to remain 90 degrees Celsius itself. Initially when it was 1 liter, it was 90 degrees Celsius, and when you divide it into parts, then also the temperature is going to remain 90 degrees Celsius. So as you can see that the temperature is not dependent on the amount of matter. Therefore temperature becomes your intensive property. Now guys, distinguishing between extensive properties and intensive properties becomes a bit of a difficult part for some of the students. Therefore the easy way to do this is, let's see now. I will show you all how. So let's say I have a system. Now what I am going to do is that I want to divide this system into two equal half parts. Okay, I have this system, let's say this yellow color is my system, and I have divided this system into two half parts. Now let's say that m is the mass of this system. Now when after dividing this system into two half parts, what will be the mass of this system? Obviously, since I have divided into half part, therefore the mass of this system will be m by 2, and the mass of this system, the second part, will also be m by 2. So as you can see over here, when we divide the amount of matter of a system, the property, that is nothing but the mass, is getting affected. It is changing from m to m by 2. Therefore this mass becomes your extensive property. Let us consider another example. Let's say the V is the volume of this system. Okay, V is the volume of the system. Now you have divided this system into two half parts. So will the volume of this system and this system be V? Obviously not. The volume of this system will be V by 2, and the volume of this system will also be V by 2. And here you can easily distinguish and find out that volume is also an extensive property. Okay, now let us consider another example. This time let us consider temperature. Let's say that the temperature of this system is 50 degrees Celsius. If the temperature of this system is 50 degrees Celsius, and after you divide it into two half parts, will the temperature change? Obviously no. Temperature is not going to change, and it is going to remain the same. Therefore temperature becomes your intensive property. The same applies to the pressure as well. The pressure is also going to remain the same, and also the density. The density is also going to remain the same. What is the formula for density? Density is nothing but mass divided by volume. So over here m divided by V, and over here if you calculate the formula for density, then there is nothing but m by 2 divided by V by 2. So this 2 and 2 will get cancelled, and you are going to land up with m upon V, which is same as this only. Clear with this? So I hope that you will be able to easily distinguish between extensive property and an intensive property. Now let us move on to understand what are state functions. The basic definition of a state function is that the properties defining the state of the system are called as state functions. Okay, the properties which define the state of the system are called as state functions. Let us understand what is the meaning of this. So for that, let us consider the earlier setup. Okay, we are having a container, and inside the container there is a gas, and we are having a piston over it. Now guys, I want to know the state of this system. We know that gas is our system, and I want to know the state of the system. Now what is the meaning of the state? State means condition of the system at a specific time. I want to know the condition of the system at a specific time. So since I want to know the state of the system, therefore I must know the value of pressure. So the pressure value is, let's say, 1 bar. Let's say volume value is 1 dm cube, and let's say that the temperature is 300 kelvins. So as you can see over here, these properties are helping us to describe the condition of the system. In other words, these properties are helping us to describe the state of the function. Okay, so with the help of these properties, can I say I know in the beginning, I know what is the state, initial state of this gas. In the beginning, I know what is the initial state of this gas. Okay, and we get to know the initial state with the help of these values which describe the initial state. Okay, now what we do is that now the pressure is increased to 2 bar. So initially the pressure was 1 bar and we increase it now to 2 bar. Now since you are increasing the pressure, then obviously the condition of the system, that is nothing but the condition of the gas, is also going to get affected. Am I right? Now since the condition gets affected, therefore now we are going to have different set of values of properties. Now the pressure will become 2 bar and the volume will now become 0.5 dm cube. Initially it was 1 dm cube, now it will become 0.5 dm cube, and let's say that we have maintained the temperature to 300 kelvins itself. Okay, now can you see these properties are helping us to describe the final state of the system when we increase its pressure. Okay, with the help of these properties we are able to describe the particular condition of the system. So can I say guys that when the system changes from initial state to the final state, the value of the properties is also going to change. Okay, and these properties help us to describe a particular state, that is nothing but a particular condition of the system, and these properties are called as state functions. Now let us understand one more important thing about the state functions. Okay, so for that let us say that between this initial state and the final state there is an intermediate state present. Now we know that initially the pressure is 1 bar and finally the pressure is 2 bar. Now let's say that before the pressure changes from 1 bar to 2 bar, in between the pressure was, let's say, 1.5 bar. So pressure initially was 1 bar, then it became 1.5 bar, and then it became 2 bar. Okay, so we have assumed that it was 1.5 bar. But what if that instead of this 1.5 bar, if the pressure was, let's say, 3 bar, then will this final pressure change? Will this final pressure change? And the answer to this is no. Why? Because for a final condition, for a final state of the gas, you can have only one value of pressure, and that value will be independent of how it has reached to that value. It does not matter to the final condition whether the pressure has changed from 1 bar to 1.5 bar then became 2, or 1 bar to 3 bar then it became 2. It is not concerned how the pressure changes from 1 to 2. We are only concerned with the final pressure. At the final condition, what is the pressure? That is the most important thing. How it became 2, we are not concerned with that. At a particular condition, we can only have a single value of pressure. Okay, so state function is not dependent on the path, whether it follows the path of 1, 1.5, 2, or whether it follows the path of 1, 3 and then becomes 2. It is not dependent of the path. It is only dependent at a particular condition what is its value. Clear with this? You will get to know in detail about this when we understand what are path functions. So now let us understand what is path functions. So for that, before that, let us define what is state function and then we'll move on to the path function. Okay, So the properties which depend on the state of the system, that is nothing but the property which depends on the condition of the system at a specific time and is independent of the path followed to attain it, is called as the state function. So I hope that guys you are clear with the state function, and you will get to know more about it when we understand what is path function. So now let us understand what are path functions. So for that, let us consider a graph. Okay. Now on this y-axis, let's say we are having pressure, and on the x-axis, let's say we are having volume. Now let's say at this point we are having the initial state of the system. At this point indicates the initial condition of the system, and at this point we are having the final state of the system. Now to reach from the initial state to the final state, the system has to undergo change in work. Am I right? It has to either do some work or the work will be done on the system. Okay. So let's say to reach from the initial state to the final state, there are multiple paths, but we are only going to consider two paths. Let us say it follows this path and reaches to the final state, or it follows this path and reaches to the final state. So as you can see over here, there are two different paths to reach from initial state to the final state. Am I right? Now my question to you all. See, the system is following two paths to change from initial state to final state. So the work done when it follows the green path and the work done when it follows the blue path, will they both be same? Will the value of work when it follows two different paths be same or different? The answer to this is obviously different. Why? Because if you want to calculate work, how is work calculated? Work is simply nothing but the area under the curve. Okay, area under this curve. So for example, if I want to calculate the work when it follows the green path, then obviously your answer will be this shaded area. But if I want to calculate the work when it follows the blue path, then it is obviously going to be this entire area. So as you can see over here, the work is dependent on the path followed. It is dependent on the path followed. And you can see that although the final state and initial state are the same, but because the path is different, therefore the value of work will also be different. Okay, so this work becomes our path function. And another example of path function is heat. Heat is also dependent on the path followed. Now let me take back again to state functions. So at this point we are going to have a value of pressure and volume. Okay, at this particular point, let's say that the pressure value is P1 and the volume value is V1, and at this particular point the pressure value is, let's say, P2 and the volume value is, let's say, V2. So now whether you follow this green color path or whether you follow this blue color path, at this point the value of pressure is going to remain P1, and at this point the value of pressure is going to remain P2. It is not going to change. Whether you follow any path, it is not going to change. So at this particular point, at this particular condition, we are going to have the same value of the state function irrespective of the path that is being followed. So guys, I hope that you have liked this video, and if you have liked this video, then please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and go check out my channel where I uploaded physics and chemistry videos. They might be helpful for you all. And guys, thank you for watching this video.